Hi, my name's David Gilson and I am the Managing Director at College and County. I thought, as I have done previously, that I should add along a few thoughts and updates from College and County and the industry as a whole, particularly around renters' rights. I know that this is a good way of sharing updates and information on that. And I have been conscious of the fact that I've not sent out a video for a little while. To be quite honest with you, partly just because I've been waiting on more clarity. I was hoping that by now we would have a little bit more certainty in terms of implementation dates and sort of exactly when and where this is going to impact us and when it's all going to come into play. I think that generally within our industry, there's acceptance of the fact that we know what it's going to be. I think the things we've talked about before, the loss of Section 21, but we still have Section 8, so we can still serve notice, but on under specific reasons, such as moving in there yourself, or wanting to sell, or antisocial tenants. All of that stuff would be under Section 8 rather than Section 21, which is given the title of no fault evictions, that we would be losing. The other thing is obviously the change of the tenancy structure, so that previously up until now we've worked on fixed term contracts. So for most of you, when we let a property for you, we do it for a fixed term 12-month period. Going forwards, tenancies will become periodic essentially, so they'll have an indefinite end date. Generally, that the kind of expectation is, and the way that it's worked in other places that have implemented similar rules. This has resulted in tenancies being generally longer. We do still have the ability to increase the rent. So every 12 months we can negotiate a new rent with your tenants and serve what's called a Section 13 notice to ensure that that is sort of recorded correctly. Obviously, other changes such as the decent home standard, which is a change to requirements for properties to meet certain spec. There's also going to be a private rented sector database, and I've actually been involved in some consultation with the government about exactly how that will work. And they've got various models for how that could be implemented. There's still not clarity on exactly how it will work, but I've been pushing for the idea that as much as possible, as your agent, as a managing agent, we would hope that we can do most of that legwork for you. Again, once there's clarity on that, we'll give you further information and updates. Other smaller changes, impacts to sort of rules around discrimination, impacts to rules around bidding wars for tenants, and impacts around pets, renting with pets. Generally, it's felt that at this point it's unlikely there's going to be any further significant changes, and so the likelihood is it will come through the way it's currently written. But when it actually comes into play is still unknown. So as I say, we were hoping that by the 16th of September, it was looking like this was going to be pushed through and we'd start getting some clarity on timeframes and implementation dates. And up until that point, I think generally within our industry, that it was expected that we were probably looking at January, maybe February for implementation. Now that's been pushed another month. So it's the 14th of October. The Renters' Rights Bill is back in the House of Lords. Currently, expectation is by the end of the month there may be further clarity and possibly royal assent. So we'd be then looking at potentially implementation dates of possibly March, April time. So again, nothing particularly rock solid to work around or to make changes around at the moment. My view is that until this is law, we shouldn't be impacting the way we're working, and so we are still, to the most part, doing things exactly as we would do. So for renewals over the summer, we've been renewing just as we normally would for fixed term contracts. We haven't moved people onto periodic because we may as well keep people on fixed term contracts for as long as possible. At a certain point in the future, they will automatically become periodic and they'll automatically be moved onto the new structure. So there's no need for us to do that in advance, and we may as well work the way we within the current regime until we need to make any changes. I reiterate again, as I've said before in previous videos, I think for most landlords, and most sort of landlords renting family homes or flats to sharers or to couples, I don't think it will have any significant impacts on your business. The Oxford market and Tame market are very, very healthy markets in terms of there is a shortage of good quality property and no short, kind of when properties do come up, we don't have any problem finding interest for them, and it's about the tenant selection more than anything else. I don't see any reason why that's going to change, and so I do believe that for most landlords you won't notice any significant changes. Student landlords are slightly different because it does impact the way we work with student properties a bit more significantly, because we let properties so far in advance with student housing. It's the whole way we let properties has to be kind of adjusted to this new sort of framework. My plan will be to put out a video specifically to landlords of student properties in the coming sort of weeks, months. So as soon as there's clarity, or as soon as we get to a point whereby we're planning to list the student properties, I will send out a video directly to the student landlords, just updating them on my views and the best way to play the situation for this year. By next year, so this is for academic year starting 2026, because we work so far ahead of ourselves in student properties. But there still will probably be some uncertainty, but I'll outline in a bit more detail where it's currently at and what I'm thinking before we come to launch season, so before we get to November, and at that point we can then make a call on the best way to play it for this year. Again, I don't see any real long-term issues for student landlords. It's much more about, it's a planning issue, and it's a bit more of an impact from our point of view because we've always worked so far ahead of ourselves as student properties, and it may impact that. It may mean that we're working slightly closer to tenancy end dates rather than being able to let everything sort of 10 months in advance, which is what we do at the moment. But in terms of actually making sure we've got a tenant, there's nothing in the legislation which is going to do anything other than increase demand for properties, because some landlords will move into family homes, or they'll move into to letting to non-HMO groups, and so the stock that's still available for sharers is going to become more and more finite. I as I say, it's much more about us organising the best way through rather than necessarily anything I think particularly that you need to be concerned about from an income point of view at this point. And as soon as there's more clarity on it, I will let you know. Do feel free, if anyone's got any specific questions or anything they'd like to talk to me about, I'm really happy for you to we can organise a time for you to come down to the office and see us in our new Headington home, or alternatively give me a call or drop me a message and we'll arrange a phone call to have a little chat through and sort of discuss a specific concern that you have. My plan will be that as soon as there's more clarity on timeframes and when it's going to all be implemented, I'll do another video. So hopefully, towards the end of October or early November, there'll be another video sent out sort of to everyone, just giving you an update on timeframes and what we're working to. But again, the goalposts have continuously moved, and we were originally talking about this all becoming law potentially in April this year. Unfortunately, things have just been delayed and delayed and delayed. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. But we've had a lot of time to think about it. Nothing that we can change yet, and there is nothing to be changed yet. But we certainly are ready to make changes as soon as we've got clarity on exactly what we're doing, and I've got a team to do it. So that's Renters' Rights Bill. Put that to a side. But as I say, very happy to have direct contact for anyone who's got any questions or anything you'd like to ask specifically. Separate to that, we've had a really successful couple of months. Obviously, we've been in our new home in Headington now for 4 months, and it's been a great change in many ways. Much easier from an access point of view for contractors and landlords. Those of you that have already been in to say hello, which has been great. I think compared to battling with the St Clement's traffic, it's been much easier. But also, contractors getting to the office. Lots of tenants have been in, obviously over the course of the summer, all the check-in appointments, and all round a lovely place to be in Headington and on the edges of the park. So that's been really successful, and the team have done an absolutely cracking job over the course of the summer. It's been an incredibly successful summer. We've done near enough 450 checkouts and check-ins for groups turning round, and it's quite an accomplishment really for the team. They all pull together. It's a real team effort to get through these months, because we do bottleneck ourselves, because as historically we've always tried to manage tenancies into sort of the best possible cycles, which means that the summer has traditionally been a time of year whereby we've tried to allow tenancies to end in those key summer months. So we do have a huge amount of changeover in a relatively short space of time, both student but also professional and family homes as well. Particularly the Oxford market does very much historically move in a summer to summer cycle. Apologies for mentioning it again, but the Renters' Rights Bill, again, as I've talked about previously, will change that. It will. People will be able to move whenever they want going forwards. They won't be restricted to fixed term contracts moving into a summer to summer cycle. So the whole market will adjust to that over the course of the next few years, I'm sure. But yeah, really successful summer, and absolute kudos to the team. They've done a brilliant job and rallied together, and it's been a joy to see. So I've said to them all that I'm very proud of kind of what the team managed to accomplish over that period of time. In other news, as I've mentioned before, Headington office been really successful move. We've been continuing to put out quite a lot of blogs over the course of the last few months as well. So as well as the ones in the newsletter, do have a look on our website as well and check out the news section. There's articles there both from lettings but also from sales. The sales team are also in this office now. So in our Headington office, we have a sales office downstairs where Richard, Darren and Rachel are running the show for Oxford and Tame sales. I think that is all for now, really. So enjoy the newsletter. Do, as I say, feel free to get in touch if there's any questions or anything I can help with at all. We're always very happy as well if there's anything you would like covered, or if there's anything you would like us to write an article on, do let us know and we'll make sure we put that out there. And I appreciate all the comments. So do get in touch if there's anything we can help with at all in the future. I'll be in touch again as soon as there is further clarity. And I apologise that I've not been more regular with these updates. I've had a few people requesting them, and I would have done one more. I've been constantly in a position whereby I've been thinking we're only a few weeks away from getting further clarity on this, and it's just been pushed and pushed and pushed. So it got to this stage where I thought, I'll do an update now and just let you know that there will be further information coming, and I will give you a more sort of considered and sort of specific update as soon as I've got implementation dates, so that I can let you know exactly how it's going to work and exactly how it's going to fit into to kind of the property cycles and the way that we function. But enjoy the newsletter, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Bye.